the first time in the 65-year history of franchise, America's team has descended upon the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. But with just 1 week left in training camp, this is strictly a business trip. And now, roster spots are up for grabs as we count down to kickoff for preseason game number 2 against the Las Vegas.
The Dallas Cowboys presentation of Countdown to Kickoff, presented by AT&T, is sponsored by Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by the official partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
And it is time for Dallas Cowboys football from Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is down to kickoff, 1 hour away from kickoff of preseason game number 2. The Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. In this, there are a lot of Cowboy fans in attendance. A very entertaining weekend for Cowboys fans here in Las Vegas and watching their team play. And welcome to Countdown to Kickoff. Bill Jones along with Mickey Spagnola. And right off the top, we've got the head Mike McCarthy. Mike, I added it up. Day number 28 of training camp is today. You're moving right along here.
Yeah, definitely. It's gone very, very fast, frankly. It seems like we just arrived in Oxnard, and now we're going into our second game. But we're excited to see our young guys play again tonight.
Let's get an update on Mozzie Smith to kick things off here. Of course, Mozzie did not make the trip, had been in Oxnard yesterday.
Yes, definitely. Unfortunate. Right as we were leaving Oxnard, it occurred, and but he's doing much better today, and we anticipate moving forward that he'll be home. From the drop back, the drop back phase was really highlighted for him because I think that's where he needs the most reps, just from an experience standpoint. And we'll see him exercise that. But I think it's like a lot of quarterback performances over the years. I think if you can have 3 or 4 throws that go different direction, then you feel a lot better about your game. But I thought he did a lot of really good things.
I asked him. I said, so one throw 41 passes in a game, and he goes, and I think it's been a while.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe never. One guy I want to ask you about is Hunter Lipke.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about players making a jump from the first year to the second year.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who's up to 245. Really see how he's being used in a variety of ways on your offense now.
Oh, yeah, that's a natural, instinctive player. Really one of the most instinctive young guys that I've seen, particularly at that position. I think that's clearly why we've, made the decision to move him and train him. He's definitely would be a candidate to not only a 2, but hopefully when we get to the end of the rainbow here, that he's made, he's one of many that make. He's doing a heck of a job.
I know you've been partial to using a fullback. You look like you've expanded his role maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
different
definitely.
Things you were using him in.
Yeah, I said all the time, so important is, really to be who you want to be in this league offensively. You got to have schemes, one-back schemes, and no-back schemes, and the ability when you have a fullback that can also play the tight end slots, or a tight end and also can play, the fullback slots. It gives you to get you're in and out of those schemes seamlessly, and that's frankly something that we did not do in the past, and have definitely evolved that way, and that's part of Hunter being here. So and he's done a really good job.
All right, Mike McCarthy, Cowboys head coach. We appreciate it. And up next here on Count, the owner, president, general manager Jerry Jones will join us. This segment is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Raise your Dr. Pepper glass to America's team. It's a pepper thing. Countdown to kickoff, the Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders, and you see a lot of cowboy blue in the stands here in Vegas. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, president and general manager, and Jerry. The 65-year history of those Cowboys have played a game in Vegas, and you can tell that Cowboy fans are enjoying.
It is exciting to see all these Cowboy fans, but it's exciting to play a game here. Now, we had the Super Bowl here, and some of us got to come to the Super Bowl. Didn't bring the team, but we did get to, but didn't really get to have the feel that you do when you bring the Cowboys in. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The principle behind Las Vegas is not only it's a great city, it's a symbol of that type of thing, but we also wondered if you would get the away game participation. Come to see the Raiders, but come to Las Vegas for the weekend. Boy, has that worked. And literally, I'm not so sure they don't have more fans come to see the other team on the weekend than the home team. But next to the Cowboys, they sold more tickets than anybody in the NFL last year. So that's really great. But more important, I can't walk in this thing without hats off to Mark Davis, Al Davis' son, and to remember Al. And Al would have been so proud of Mark Not so sure I would have been able to pull this off just because he's so combative and that you have to do to get something like this done. So it's really a thrill to get to play.
And by the way, that torch in the north end zone, the flame, it's a tribute to Al Davis here at Elite.
At Montecito in practice. I think of him every day because the time that I ever got to participate, be a part of a practice was at Thousand Oaks, and we drove up to practice the Raiders. And boy, Al walked out there and said, Jerry, NFL, great to be over here where the Raiders are. Now, boy, he'd break a practice up. He'd walk out there and he'd come running out there and he says, this one's over. He said, I'm not going to leave this player's health here in August when we're going to need him in January. No, we're not going to.
He taught a lot of people lessons,
Too
right?
dangerous.
Yeah. Speaking of team, I want to get your team together. Any update on the CD negotiations? And it looked like things might be moving along.
Well, I just, you never know. And so you have to get together, and you have to get together on a number. And I don't know a number, and he doesn't know a number. And so, well, we've got to get that done. I do want to know that he did such great preparation and work with Dak in the offseason. We know CD. We know what we're doing. It has been a great opportunity to see these young receivers step up, and have they gotten a chance to excel. So all in all, this is not bad.
We saw him in the joint practice with the Rams go up against a first-round draft pick in Jared Verse. And then tonight it looks like the Raiders might be playing their starters. We might see him matched up against Max Crosby. Where do you see Tyler's progress now about midway through the preseason?
Well, I'm looking at how much they're going tonight, and I see Guyton in here playing for a half, the entire first half.
There you go.
So he's ready to roll.
What have you seen from him so far?
Well, I've seen the things that accentuated, improved on his great length, his basketball feet, which is a positive, means quick, good, reactive feet, and then his art has picked it up really well. All those things we saw, but now then he's working now. He's worked against the Rams a couple of times, 3 times, and plus we're going to see him out here tonight. And his own players have given him a lot to work with out there, too. He's going to be good.
He played with a lot of emotion in that Rams scrimmage, too, by the way.
Well, he's going to be a great player if he can take all that talent, that block him, get your man. He take that talent and great one.
Because of your salary cap limitations, you couldn't sign a lot of free, some of your own. So young guys, we keep hearing if this team's going to improve, we need these young guys to step up. What have you seen from some of these guys that you know you're going to have to bank on?
Step up. They've stepped up, and we've gotten to see it in practices. You thought they would. We had such depth last year that a lot of these younger guys didn't get enough snaps. They could have had more snaps, had a better record, I don't know, but we could have had more snaps from them. It doesn't surprise us at all. It had everything to do why we weren't out here needing to when we had a younger one, a lesser paid one coming right along that really planned. And that's the plan if it works. The player's got to be good enough to step up when it's time. It's their time.
All right, Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner,
yes.
president, general manager. Down to kickoff, Jerry.
Bill, always.
All right, and up next, we've got Will McClay going to join us, talk more about some of these young players. This segment was brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Raise your Dr. Pepper's a pepper theme. Download the Cowboys Now app on your connected TV to get the latest news and programs all year on the Cowboys Now app. Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders, Saturday Night Football from here in Vegas. We are counting down to kickoff. Bill Jones along with Mickey Spagnola. Now we're joined by Will McClay, who has been a very, very busy Oxnard. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on this roster. But let's start with a guy that has stepped up in a big way, Will, here early in training camp. And you're going to need to this season. That's your second-round draft pick, Marshawn Nealon, especially after Sam Williams went down early on in training camp with the knee injury. What have you seen out of Marshawn Nealon?
You know what? He's the type of young man that you feel good about. Coming out of college, we said he's got tools, but we didn't know the competitor in him, number one, and then the way he picked up coaching. So very excited to have him, and he's in a room where he can learn from DeMarcus Lawrence, and everybody's working with him. So really excited about how he's progressing.
You know, in your business, Will, it seems like it's almost like playing whack-a-mole. You take care of one thing, and then something else pops up. So now with the loss of Chuma Earl Bostic, the backup swing tackle behind Guyton is something that I guess you've got to address, or you got to see some young guys step up and play.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful part about the game tonight. Feel like they're going to play some of their starters, so we'll get to see some of our young guys against, their guys, and it'll be a good test to figure out about versatility, because we only carry 8 or 9 on the roster when we come down to 53. So guys that can play multiple positions will help. And hate the fact of the injury, and it usually happens.
And one of the guys that you guys have been relying on a little bit to be either that guard or tackle has been Awesome Richards, your last year's draft choice. What have you seen from him and his buck?
Been very impressed with him through camp. The ability to play guard. You see him out at left tackle, and when we were going against the Rams, there are some good things that he left tackle feet, but he's also strong enough to play inside. So last year, this year.
This year has been a little different as far as the player acquisition, because typically in the springtime when free agency happens, you'll sign some free agents, yes, filling spots before the draft. This year it's reversed, and you've been very busy the last couple of weeks. This past week, Carl Lawson. The week before, Nick Vigil, Darius Harris, Shaka Tony. It really is a 24/7, 365-a-year job for you. And just if you could talk a little bit about just the difference in the way you had to approach it this year.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. We lost all the players in free agency and weren't able to go out and do as much that we've done in the past. And typically what we've done is fill the holes in free agency and be able to draft. But we weren't able to do that. But we knew coming into the preseason, things are going to happen, players are going to move, and so that way, what's available, what's out there, and then we're learning a new defense. Zim and the crew came in, and we're starting to figure out what it's all about. Now we have a good grasp of that, and so you can also look at are available and have an opportunity to fit those pieces in.
And it seems one of the things that Zim likes is bigger guys up front, and you just traded for a really big guy and attracted to him other than 6'6", 341.
Well, he's been a very productive player in this league. He's kind of played in the system before, so he doesn't have to wait for that transition to go from one scheme to the other. He knows how to do that. He was productive against us last year, and feel good about what he can bring to it's a rotation of those guys inside, and it'll allow our linebackers to play fast and free.
And it seems like since he had been working out with the Giants, he should be ready to go tonight.
Yeah, we're going to get some snaps, and plus the fact that Coach Pecco and him played together, and they were in a similar defense, and he said I was reviewing it very, very quickly, so we feel good about that.
Mickey, here's the other thing you liked about him. Jordan Phillips played at Oklahoma.
Oh, I knew that was going to come out.
It always goes back to Oklahoma,
yes.
right?
All right. Young guys who have stepped up, maybe not in the first or second day draft. Who's the guy that stepped up for you?
I really don't like to put that pressure on a young guy and put it out there because I've done it before, but it's just guys come in and fit in. And one of the greatest things about the experience that these guys bring in, they talk about the camaraderie around the team and the brotherhood, and these guys are following in the footsteps. I was talking to Nate Thomas, and he was like, man, I couldn't have asked for a better room to be in when you got Zach Thomas there. So all those guys are taking it, and they've joined it, and they're really battling for spots now, and that competitive spirit's only going to make us better.
All right, Will McClay, appreciate you joining us here on Countdown to Kickoff. And coming up next, we've got Nick Harris, we've got Nick Eatman, and we've got players to watch, including that guy, Cooper Beebe, tonight.
Welcome back into Countdown to Kickoff. This segment is brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the venue, while Bill Jones gets up to the booth. And we welcome in Nick Eatman as well. But before we do, Brian Schottenheimer talked this week on the offensive line. Now, the offensive line obviously has a lot of storylines going into the preseason. 2 starters that they will have to replace up front. Let's see what Schotty had to say back in Oxnard.
Yeah, I think it's exciting, number one. Guyton missed a lot of missed probably 4 padded practices, I think. So he needs the work. It was good to see him get some live action against the Rams. We'll start ramping him up a little bit more, obviously, just from a health standpoint. But it's exciting. We knew both these young players were talented. We've been trying to create a bunch of competition in that room and with other spots. It's got nothing to do with Brock Hoffman or Chuma's injury. It's like we've tried to create competition. Brock's doing some great things. We love Brock's intensity, but we see some things in Cooper that get us excited as well. So, again, Austin Richards he's gotten a ton of work. Look at probably the reps. He's probably had more reps than anybody because he can do so many things in terms of his flexibility to play different spots, really all 4 spots except for center. But I think these guys will compete. Brock will compete for sure, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, the key word there, compete. And you see Cooper Beebe right here, the 3rd-round pick out of Nick. We're starting to see him pick up a little bit more first-team reps with the offense as camp has gone on. He's starting to ascend into that starting center battle.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like a competition here. Everyone keeps saying, hey, don't give up on Brock Hoffman. And I don't think the Cowboys are at all. But Cooper Beebe is a guy that's come in here. He's got the shotgun snaps a little bit better. And it's getting to a point now where now he's not thinking as much. He'd go out there and just play. And I think for that's where you're really starting to see him gain on Hoffman in the competition.
You guys, one of the things I've seen out of him, especially this past week when they were practicing against the Rams, it was what I saw from him at K-State. He would make his block on the line of scrimmage, and then he would get to the second level, and he'd go get a linebacker. Helped out on the defensive tackle, and then when he got a linebacker. And I think that versatility of what he's able to do has really helped him to ascend in this center. Really excited to see him start tonight at center.
Yeah, we saw him take some reps at center and at right guard last week against the Rams. Would have to expect he's going to get even more work here tonight in Las Vegas. You look at Tyler Guyton now. A lot of injuries going on at left tackle. He's a guy that's not only expected to step up, he's going to have to step up here season. But these reps are super valuable for him considering he was dealing with a virus earlier in camp.
Yeah, this is a situation where I think he'll get the start here. And really, Mick, you mentioned the practice against the Rams last week. I thought it was a good moment for him. He went up against Verse for the Rams, their 1st-round pick. 2 good reps there, and you could see they were doing a lot of talking. The Rams were, especially Verse. He's all about it. He put him in the ground twice, had fun doing it, and you could just tell he's got a mean streak as well. We hear that about Beebe. I think Guyton's got that as well.
Well, I loved it when Verse was giving one of the young guys some business because he false started, and the guy was getting ready to take another snap, and Guyton tapped him out and said, okay, I'll take care of this, right? And the other thing that they've got to look for on the offensive line is now they got to find a backup swing tackle. And one of some Richards, I don't know what you thought of him, but I always defer to Nick, these offensive linemen, right? And he liked Awesome Richards' strength. And plus the fact they got him playing at 2 different spots.
Yeah, and I think if you listen to what Schottenheimer said, if young offensive lineman and you're at high school and say, oh, I'm a tackle. One thing you should know is look who's making the team here. Awesome Richards, he can play guard, he can play tackle. BB can play guard and center. The more you can do, I mean, that's really going to carry you along, and that's what you're seeing with these backup linemen.
Yeah, you look at the offensive line picture. Versatility is going to if they do get in a pinch. They have interior depth with guys like TJ Bass. We've mentioned Cooper Beebe. Now, if it's a situation where Guyton were to go down at some point during the season, that's probably where you start to look around and start to have some concern.
Well, Tyler Smith, they always have that in their back pocket if they want to move to left tackle. I don't think they want to, and I wouldn't either. I mean, Larry Allen could have always done it. Zach Martin could have done it, but he's an all-pro guard, and I think that's where Tyler Smith is going to be. But it is nice to know that if you really need to, and sometimes it happens, and you've got guys that can do that.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of rookies in this segment. How about a rookie on the defensive side of the ball? We're going to take a look at another player to watch when we come back. This segment was brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back into Sin City, closing in on kickoff here for the Las Vegas Raiders and Dallas Cowboys. Dallas's first trip here in Las Vegas. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. We took a look at some offensive players to watch in this game in the last segment. Now we're going to have Marshawn Nealon, been a guy that has taken the attention of his peers and coaches.
Marshawn's been great in camp. Real hard on some of the pass rush stuff because I don't think he was as efficient at doing that. But he's been great against the run. Greg Ellis has been working with him. You know, it's kind of, we're talking about Greg, who ended up having 84.5. He keeps reminding me 84.5 sacks. But, you know, his first year, he was kind of like Marshawn. You know, good run player, very conservative. Now, Marshawn isn't conservative. He's going to go. But Greg never wanted to make a mistake. And, so he got with someone that taught him how to use his hands and, you know, pop speed to power and side scissors and the stab, and also been working with Marshawn. And the other day when we went against the Rams, the first pass rush, he side scissored the guy and he had this big smile on his face. You know, so, you know, I think he's a worker, and I think he's going to continue to work just like that with those guys. But Greg's going to help him.
Marshawn Nealon drawing high praise. Micah Parsons called him earlier in the week a young Cam Jordan, so it got some high praise to be able to achieve. But, Nick, looking at Marshawn Nealon and how he's approached camp, it's not only the power on the field, but it's the knowledge off the field as well.
Without a doubt, he's a sponge. And I think we got a chance to see Greg Ellis. It was an off day a couple of weeks ago. It feels like a month ago. I don't know. It was,
we don't know anymore.
It was an off day, and Greg was saying, I just had to go meet with Marshawn because it was their players' day off, and a lot of the guys like to get away, and they should. He was like, I need more film. I want to sit down with Greg Ellis. I want to sit down for about an hour or so. There's some questions that I have, and it's that type of knowledge and just the desire to learn that everyone's so excited about. Yes, he can do this. He's going to get better and better, but he continues to want to. Mickey wants it so bad that usually when that happens, it should
work or Zim did. It's like this guy will work. And I remember Greg Ellis told me after the draft, he said, the thing I saw about this guy on tape, didn't matter where he played college, he played every play like it was the last play of the game. And they just loved his ability to play with emotion and effort. Now, one of the things now we got Sam Williams, and I know the Cowboys have DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. They need more than just Nealon. And they ended up trading for Carl Lawson. Yeah. Any thoughts on, just what, obviously he brings some experience.
Yeah, and when you look at Lawson, he was out there on the street and he was available, and he's a guy that I think that officially will get signed tomorrow. But the thing about him is that he's had, I think it's 27 career sacks. He had 8.5 sacks as a rookie. And Paul Gunther, who's here, as the run game coordinator with Zimmer, he was defense coordinator with the Bengals, so he had his best season. He coached them, and a lot of times those coaches say, hey, I can get them to do it again.
Yeah, you look at the way the team was able to generate pressure or not able to generate pressure against the Rams last Sunday. That's definitely something to keep an eye on going into this game. You look at guys like Marshawn Nealon. You also look at Al-Qadim Muhammad. He's a veteran that the team added here during camp. How important is it for this group to get after O'Connell and Gardner Minshew here tonight?
Yeah, I think they need to show that they can rush the quarterback without having to rely on just Parsons and Lawrence. And, what they've done, they had moved these defensive ends inside the tackle, and now Fihoko and Chauncey Golston have gone out to end. But, yeah, I thought the need at defensive end get a little bit more experience, and I thought that's where Lawson. But you would love these young guys to step up.
And do you like the move of Chauncey Golston and Viliami Fihoko out to the edge? It kind of plays more to their strengths, no?
Yeah, without a doubt. Kind of what we talked about in the last segment about offensive linemen, the versatility. You do need those Swiss Army knives. You need those guys that can play a little bit of tackle, a little bit of end, because when you go to the game and you have 4 defensive ends and you have 4 defensive tackles, that 9th guy really gives you 10. If my math is working there, because when you have a guy that can do two spots, so guys like Golston and Fihoko are really valuable there.
Yeah, young guys on the defensive side of the ball. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones said all offseason that next step. There's another young player there in the linebacking core, though, that is poised to have it after having his rookie year cut short. When we come back, we'll take a look at DeMarvion Overshown. What can he bring this year? This segment was brought to you by Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back in to Countdown to Kickoff. We're about 20 minutes from the start of the second week of the preseason. Dallas Cowboys here in Vegas. Now we welcome in Nicole Hutchison. And Nicole, if we're talking about guys that are making that second-year jump, it's a little bit different for DeMarvion Overshown, though, given how his rookie year went. The pride of Arp, Texas. You got the chance to speak with him.
For sure. And for DeMarvion Overshown, it's kind of like a full circle moment for him, especially with what you're right. His second preseason game in 2023, he actually tore his ACL, right? So now the Cowboys have been trying to work him in slowly, right? Make sure he's healthy every single time that he gets to play on the field.
I just love the way how he goes about, his teaching and his coaching, and especially this year for me, coming off this injury, but looking to have a big year, I'd be excited just to hear everything he got to say.
Words spoken from Media Day in May and already coming to life. Practice field and in the Cowboys preseason opener against the Rams.
Austin Scott hit by another Longhorn. There's Overshown, and of course,
second-year linebacker DeMarvion Overshown showing flashes pain could look like.
I worked a whole year just to feel what I felt again today in an actual game, living my dream all over again.
3 tackles in just 12 plays against the Rams. A solid presence, a continuation of what Overshown was showing last year. Before
sideline, that holding his knee is DeMarvion Overshown.
In just the second game of the preseason, Overshown had to hit the reset button, spin his rookie habit. But in just over 10 months, he's back on the field, feeling faster and leaner.
I definitely felt good to make a play in the actual game again, kind of like been built up for a year, just waiting for that moment again and, feeling those type of emotions again. Because when you take that away from a competitor like myself, you got to find little wins throughout the day. I go in my garage and with a fly squad and just hit flies all day, just to feel good, just to feel something.
But this time around, he's praying there's no more fly swatting, just goal setting and a clear vision for success.
Well, last year, I told myself I wanted to either be on an all-rookie type of, special teams, Pro Bowler or something like that. So this year, I'm holding myself to the same standard. I want to be, come towards the end of the year, one of those guys that's in the conversation as one of those guys that made a big impact this year.
DeMarvion Overshown with big goals for 2024, and hopefully we get a chance to see that at the start of the season. But the Cowboys are being very cautious of how they want to move with him. They're sitting him out for today's game against the Raiders because of that hip pointer injury. They want to make sure that this is nothing too serious. Head coach Mike McCarthy actually saying that it's nothing any too serious. So hopefully we get a chance to see him next week. But for now, I know he's going to be a huge impactful player for the defense in 2024, man.
Trainers, equipment guys were working on a pad to put on his hip point. I don't even know. Do you have a hip pointer? I don't know.
I've never had one myself.
I don't think so either. Anyway, but they said, well, the pad will help, but it's not going to help him run more. So, yeah, he's not going to play tonight. But last week against the Rams, he got 11 snaps, and he had 3 tackles. That's pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, you get chills seeing the injury that he suffered last year in Seattle, watching it over again. And then you get chills all over again seeing him make that tackle there on the edge, his first tackle that he had against the Rams last week. It's so big. DeMarvion Overshown being able to take that injury, wipe it away from his brain, and take it into the second year. And he's got a lot of linebackers around him that'll be able to help him. Eric Kendricks, Damone Clark. They draft a guy in Maris Luafau out of Notre Dame in the 3rd round. And I don't think he's going to be doing any fly swatting in his garage this season. Do you do any of that, Mickey?
I'll tell you what.
I hope not.
He's in East Texas. There's some big flies in East Texas.
Yeah. Shout out to Arp, Texas. Certainly some big flies down there. But DeMarvion Overshown, looking forward to having a big second. Very big for him to be able to step in next week. And then when the season starts, it'll be huge for him to keep that going. When we come back, we're going to rejoin Bill Jones up in the booth to talk some running backs. What will that situation look like this week? Deuce Vaughn is healthy. Royce Freeman is healthy. We're going to have a lot to talk about. This segment was brought to you by your Texas Ford. Ford is the best in Texas.
Download the Cowboys Now app on your connector. Favorite Dallas Cowboys podcasts. And welcome. Kickoff fast approaches here at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. Bill Jones and now with the voice of the star on X. That would be Patrick Walker, and he is featured prominently on Dallas Cowboys podcast as well. Patrick, how about we talk about this running back room? And it's an abundant running back room, starting with the likes of Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle. But how about a guy that we're going to see in tonight's game, number 42, Deuce Vaughn?
You know, it is an abundancy in the running bill. You're talking about 8 bodies in that room, and they have to cut things down, so it's going to be a challenge for them. But Deuce Vaughn and Royce Freeman, they both return from injury. Both have missed a couple of weeks of practice with respective injuries, and last week's preseason opener against the Rams. They're going to have a big chance to make some waves today against the Raiders.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how Deuce Vaughn is used, not only in the offense, but also perhaps on special teams as well. The Cowboys do have a plan for him, even going back to when they drafted him last year.
Deuce Vaughn is to use his shiftiness, use his quickness, and to use his size, as small as it may, goal line situations, kind of navigating between those redwood trees that they call defensive linemen, maybe help them out in that capacity as well.
Okay, tell us about Royce Freeman, because here's a guy who was a third rounder ago, has bounced around a little bit, big body guy, and since he's been out here the last couple of weeks, I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Royce Freeman in a Cowboys uniform.
Yeah, 100%. And to help with the power game for the Cowboys, that was something that this team lacked greatly in the absence of Ezekiel Elliott last season. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott, like we talked about, but also Royce Freeman should help them in those situations.
All right, Mike McCarthy was asked about the running backs. In fact, might have been the one who asked him about the running backs this week in practice. He had, and Brian Schottenheimer as well, had nice thing to say about Rico Dowdle, about Malik Davis as well. How do you see this running back room as it shapes up right now?
As it shapes up right now, you're talking about Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle being your 1A, 1B, and you can vary them however you like, whichever one fits your bill for that particular week. But behind them, you're going to see Malik. They're going to mix in Deuce Vaughn, mix in Royce Freeman. Nathaniel Pete will be more of a second half load for the Cowboys, but Malik Davis is going to have a big chance today.
Okay, you've been out in Oxnard the entire time that the team has been out there. It's going on 4 weeks now. You've seen Ezekiel Elliott. What have you seen out of Zeke?
Zeke still has some juice. There's still some fuel in that tank, and I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised to see what he brings to the Cowboys. If you go back, Bill, and you look at what he was able to do for the New England Patriots, he was not only, but he was able to catch some passes out of the backfield as well. Is he still the 2016, 2017? No, he is not the former 2-time rushing champ that you would think he's going to come in here as. What he is, though, is still a very capable veteran that can also help mentor some of these young guys.
Had 51 catches for the Patriots last year, and of course 2 years ago had 12 rushing touchdowns for the Cowboys. It's running back by committee, and there are a lot of member committee right now. We're going to figure out how this sorts out over the next couple of weeks. Patrick Walker, we appreciate it.
Always, Bill.
All right, and countdown to kickoff continues in a moment. Isaiah Stanback will join me as we get you set for kickoff against the Raiders. It's the Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders from here at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas as we count down to kickoff right here. We're going to take you all the way to midnight tonight back in Dallas-Fort Worth and back, and we can't wait to see what the Cowboys do in week number 2 of the preseason. Of course, Trey Lance, we get a lot of time at quarterback. Mike McCarthy told us earlier that Cooper Rush slated to get about 12 snaps. Let's talk wide receivers, though, because we saw some step up last week without a CD Lamb, without a Brandon Cooks, without Jalen Tolbert a week ago. Who is it that has caught your eye at wide receiver?
Well, Tyron Bill-and-Johnson really the best training camp that any of the receivers have had this year, but you haven't had opportunity to see that show up on this field just yet. Very similar to Jalen Brooks' last year, his training camp. He had his chemistry was with Dak Prescott, and obviously Dak Prescott wasn't playing in the preseason. So you want him to show up as he has in practice. Jalen Brooks needs to continue to show up. You saw him make a big play last week against the Rams out there with Cooper Rush. But then Ryan Flournoy, you want to see him show up. He had a couple opportunities last week, wasn't necessarily great. He also had a couple of drops. So those guys all need to have a good showing because really this is the week that you begin to make your greatest impact on the coach's ability, whether or not they want to keep you on their staff or not.
All right, let's turn our attention to defense a little bit. As Mike McCarthy told us earlier, Mozzie Smith, of course, is back in Oxnard, had an allergic reaction, wasn't able to make the... Interesting is that Jordan Phillips, just acquired a few days ago in a trade with the New York Giants, veteran defensive tackle, is going to get snaps tonight.
And that's huge. I mean, obviously, he just touched ground here literally not too many hours ago. But you want to see him come out and have an impact. These guys are searching for some pressure. Last was eye-opening that they were unable to have any kind of pressure on the quarterbacks. Not only that, but the run-stuffing ability. So, obviously, Zimmer and the rest of the defensive staff there wants to see exactly who can we reach out to have some great impact. We have a young Mozzie Smith who's trying to have some development there, but we need a sure, tried-and-true thing that can step in right now and obviously affect our ability to make plays.
One sure, tried-and-true thing on that defensive line is Osa Odigizua at tackle, but there are some young guys. Viliami Fehoko, who last week saw time at defensive tackle. And Chauncey Golston is another guy they're looking forward to stepping up.
Yeah, and Viliami Fehoko really, I feel strongly that he needs to show up in a major way today in order to justify a spot on the roster. Unfortunately, I know all too well, you get about 2 years after you're drafted to really show your worth. And if you don't have an impact either on special teams or on whatever position that they have you slated for, then you might be looking for a job come the end of the preseason.
Isaiah, you having a good birthday weekend here in Vegas?
It's been great. It's even better now I'm with you, Bill, so we're good.
Birthday for Isaiah Standback, and what better place to celebrate it than here. Cowboys playing, and clearly the Cowboys are coming onto the field as we get you set for kickoff. The Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. The kickoff is straight here in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada.